kind of mixture. You have academicians, you have politicians, you have church people, you have military people. So these are, I guess, the different segments that were involved in the peaceful revolution that caused the downfall of the previous regime. So this is a representative of people power. Different sectors were represented by the choice of the president. So you have that.
So what was the
mix.
mechanism, Justice? How were you selected? Did you run for it? Were you selected by the president directly?
Yes, I did not run for it. I was a member of one of the groups that was involved in the peaceful revolution, the Manindigan. And I was selected probably as a member of that group. And I was also probably selected because I was in the previous constitution making. I was a delegate
right.
in the 1971 Constitutional Convention, elected.
That one you were elected, right?
I was
Yeah,
elected
exactly,
that time
Yeah.
to represent Zamboanga del Norte. And there were, I think, a number of us who were chosen from among the CONCON members to be members of the Constitutional Commission. I think 12 of us. So that was one of the mechanisms used to choose the actually 50, but two declined.
Two declined.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Why did they decline? Is there a reason you can divulge? Or masyadong stressful lang yung trabaho?
The one decline was the Iglesia.
Right.
Yes, and the other one, I think Lino Broca attended for a while but left and did not come back. So
Did they give any reason officially on the record? Any of that?
no, he didn't give any reason. He left his jacket and a white jacket on his seat, and that remained with us up to the end, but he never came back.
Oh, so binigyan kayo ng jacket, parang wawawi pala.
Parang-
Bigyan ng jacket.
Parang he left it to show that he could still come back if he wanted to.
Interesting. That's a good tidbit, no, of history. So 48. What is the composition here? You're mostly what? Lawyers, jurists, people with activist background. What kind of ideological orientation aside from being for peaceful political transition? Ano yung composition niya? Ano yung formula for the selection? I mean, I obviously you were not part of the selection process, pero nung tumingin ka around, Justice,
Yes.
sino-sino mga to? And sa tingin niyo, ano yung mga naging criteria?
As I said, there was a whole range of representation. There were military people, there were activists, there were members of the Congress,
Right.
and there were farmers, so all kinds, lawyers, there were women, there were men, so a good cross-section of our society, I think.
That's important. So that means hindi dapat jurist or lawyer lang ang gumawa ng ating saligang batas. Right? So it was an egalitarian process, I suppose, in that sense.
Well, yeah, in a way, it was both that. I think the president wanted the people power movement to be represented, and this needed an examination of the different sectors that contributed to the peaceful revolution, really. There was media, and there were most of them were, I think, non-political. Youth, the youth was represented. There was a nun, there was a priest, and
There was love. I mean, the term love was
the
put
term
there.
love was introduced
Interesting.
in the preamble by a Protestant minister.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes, so that's a very varied representation. The other thing is that before we started our work, we went out to consult with the people. For a good 3 months, we spread out all over the country in teams, and we got the feedback from our people what kind of fundamental law they wanted, what were their ideals to be reflected in the Constitution. And we went to the markets, we went to the fishermen, and we listened to them. We also got formal recommendations from institutions like the UP Law Center.
Right.
So then we started working. Yeah.
What was the mechanism? Like town hall meeting, barangay hall meeting, ano yung naging paraan? Obviously, hindi kayo nag-analytics or survey, right? So, paano nyo pinili sinong kakausapin nyo? Anong mga rehiyon na pupuntahan nyo? Paano yung sigurado na you have a good slice of the popular sentiment?
The choice of the manner in which we were going to consult the people, pinag-usapan lang yan. Many of us were experts in dealing with all kinds of our people, farmers and workers. So, for instance, in Albay, we met with the fishermen in a classroom. We assembled the fishermen of Albay Bay in one or several classrooms actually, and we talked to them, listened to them. And we were surprised that the supposedly unlettered fishermen came up with recommendations on how to prevent another martial law.
Martial law. So,
yes,
safeguards ka agad, naisip
safeguards,
niya.
yes.
Galing, wow.
Against a repetition of the martial law.
Right.
Basically, the same as that of the UP Law Center.
Interesting.
For instance, siguro dapat ilagay natin yung poder sa Kongreso, so that checking power. Eh, ganun din yung UP Law Center eh.
So, may instinctive understanding of checks and
Oo.
balances yung mga ating mga
Probably,
kabayan.
yeah.
Exactly. Interesting.
So,
Very interesting.
so these are the feedbacks we got. And we started working. And when we started working, we had to have a working draft. According to Father Bernas, we have to have a draft, working draft. We cannot start from thin air. And the working draft we had was the 1973 Constitution.
Which you contributed
Yeah.
to, yeah.
Yes, so that was the starting draft. Of course, we didn't have to follow it completely, but that was the framework of our discussion. Yeah.
Did you feel guilty about the 1973 Constitution? Like, because it basically provided the legal foundations for the Marcos dictatorship. What is your stance on that?
Not guilty because it was hijacked. If it was left alone, it was one of the best constitutions according to many independent observers. But President Marcos Sr. amended it.
He outsmarted you guys? He was...
So, he didn't give it a chance to work as originally planned. So that's why I'm not regretful in having participated in that exercise. So it was the first time that Filipino people had a chance to adopt its own constitution. And until now, the survivors of that convention meet and we reassess our work.
Right.
And the consensus is that we did well. Yeah.
You were just outsmarted.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like
so.
not enough guardrails. Not
Yes.
enough guardrails. Yeah.
Yes.
Now let's go back to this. Like in your book, Justice, you talked about, this. You tried to create a kind of what Aristotelian hybrid system, right? Like people wanted the presidential system, kasi gusto nila sila mismo ay may basically may power dun sa pagpili ng ating mga liderato, especially the most powerful person.
Yes.
At the same time, you said you introduced elements of the parliamentary system, which my sense is ideas of checks and balance, ideas of some sort of more policy, ideologically oriented politics within a pluralistic and constitutional order. Nevertheless, the sense, again, kanina sinabi niyo maraming mga independent analysts nang nagsabi that the 1973 one was really good. Many would say the same thing about the 1987. Like this is one of the most wonderful constitutional documents out there. Ang basa naman namin, although of course with hindsight, but also is that, but how come there were no clear provisions against political dynasty, meaning automatic provisions? Why was that provision, for instance, not embedded? Why weren't they, for instance, very strict laws on campaign financing and creation of political parties? Kasi ngayon, ngayon everyone's talking about corruption. It's a very moralistic discourse. Of course, corruption is evil, but the evil of corruption happens within a certain framework. So if your framework is napakamahaling elections, wala kang matinong mga partido, labanan lang ito ng mga dynasties at vote buying pamor, basically, di ba? Million bawat round, di ba? Then you're really asking for corruption. Because a lot of this corruption that we're seeing right now, flood control, etc., may kinalaman din yan sa election spending and vote buying. So essentially you have this vicious cycle. So what I want to understand is that, of course, the book was not supposed to be a kind of a disposition on the Philippine Constitution, but when I was going through that, I was wondering why there were no automatic laws. Why did you leave it to the prerogative of the Congress, which was, by all intents and purposes, going to be dominated by the very people who will not have an interest in pushing for an anti-dynasty deal? I think Senator Erwin Tulfo said that the other day, open, hindi yan papasa yung anti-dynasty kasi puro dynasty na rin eh. And of course, there are two brothers already in the Senate. I mean, our Senate is already looking like crazy, like two brothers, two brother sisters, another brother sister. So, was that did you overlook something? Was that a kind of a shortcoming in your opinion? Why wasn't that element there? Or was it because the balance of forces, your hands were forced or tied, and you were not able to introduce that because, I don't know, Corazon Aquino's thought, babanggaan ko tong mga to, I cannot afford it. What's going on? Because we had a constitutional interregnum, meaning she was a de facto dictator, and she could have been a benevolent dictator. Do you get what I'm saying, Justice? I'm trying to be fair. I know you had absolutely great intentions, and I have the highest respect for you and your contribution to our constitutional discourse. But I cannot help, as someone who came after EDSA, born after EDSA, to notice some of this, I would say, loopholes or gaps, if I could say, or at least in retrospect.
Well, regarding political dynasty, there was one kind of thinking in the Constitutional Commission that to limit the choice of the people is undemocratic. For instance, term limits. Commissioner Abubakar stood up to say, who are we to say that we limit the choice of the people? If they want to elect me 5 times, why stop them?
Right.
So in other words, we were up against a thinking that would be against anything that limits the democratic freedom of the people, the voters. So if the voter wanted to elect the same family all the time, why go against it? So we were, I think, a bit soft on the political dynasty. Because of that, we just came out of a peaceful revolution. So we trusted the people.
You trusted the people to trust the dynasties?
We trusted the people. If the dynasty is their choice, let them choose dynasty. So we let the representatives define dynasty.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that was in the spirit of not curbing the right, yung choice
Yeah.
ng voters. I see. But in retrospect, wasn't that a bit naive, I would say?
Yes,
Given the preponderance of
it was
dynastic power.
both naive and also product of the
Zeitgeist.
the high from
Yeah,
the
spirit of the moment.
peaceful revolution. But I'd like to point out that we did provide for mechanisms to sidestep Congress, and one of them is initiative. So a law defining dynasty can be passed by the people themselves through initiative. And the other is the example of the Bangsamoro. They just passed a anti-dynasty law. So we cannot
Yeah,
say
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
that
exactly.
it is not impossible for a
Exactly.
lawmaking body to pass such a measure. It has been done. So,
So you're saying we can learn from the Bangsamoro experience?
yes,
Interesting.
they just taught us that it's not impossible.
And it was difficult, right? Because you have a lot of warlord dynasties also.
Yeah.
Nababanggaan ng authorities
Yeah.
ng BARM, and yet they did that, right? In fairness, that's quite a good point that you raised, Justice. Although I know as we speak, medyo may gulo rin yata nangyari with the redistricting issue, and I think may mga faction pa, and there are issues with the reintegration and decommissioning. But that's a long story. Yung BARM mahabang usapan yan. But I want to go back to this again. You said you wanted to introduce elements of parliamentary politics. Perhaps the implication was to check yung populist tendencies of a presidential system, which I think is on display everywhere, from U.S. to Brazil to even France, some would say. But we know a parliamentary system works if you have strong political parties.
Well,
So I don't
we
see how
haven't tried
political
it.
parties can work when you have political dynasties, but de facto working as political parties. You get what I'm saying? Like, I see an inherent tension there. Maybe you should have brought more political scientists to help you with crafting this. That was our job. Yeah.
well, the parliamentary system was proposed at one point, but we asked Father Bernas to give
Right.
an explanation, a lecture to us on the differences. And we also consulted with the people, and
Right.
people preferred to choose the head of state themselves, the head of the government themselves. So we opted for the presidential. And also at that time, the experience on parliamentary was that it was unstable. The changes were too frequent. So there was a proposal to modify
Vote of
that.
no confidence and
Yeah.
boom, palit.
Yeah.
Well, like Japan is a very classic
Yeah.
case of that. Yeah.
To limit the changes in a parliamentary system. So there was going to be a hybrid, but it didn't turn out that way. So we just adopted few features like the question hour and the party list. Basically, that's a parliamentary feature. So we have party list and question hour. Those are the features of parliamentary system that we adopted. And
Speaking of the party list, sorry, just for
Yes.
Were you part of the Supreme Court that ruled on the issue of representation for party list and what is a marginalized group and what is the representation of that? Because the concern with party list is, maybe this is my view because I'm coming from a more progressive stance, yun dapat sana yung entry point dun sa mga sektor na hindi lang marginalized at alam mo hindi mananalo sa district wars ng basically dynastic district wars. Pero ang nangyari kasi, ang basa is because the Supreme Court kind of gave a leeway in who can represent and what is marginalized, now you have contractors running party lists. Hindi lang contractors, you also have contractor party lists, and you know the party list became even so ridiculous at some point. Everyone wants to start with letter A or A1 or something like that. I mean, we clearly see an adulteration that, again, a good parliamentary future, wasn't that also a reflection of a lack of safeguards or preemptive, um, because political dynasties are also entering party lists now, right?
That's right.
So what about that? I'm sorry, just I hope I'm not sounding like I'm litigating this again. I'm not prosecuting this case. I'm just really genuinely curious because I have utmost respect for you. You guys are all fine legal minds. I understand you were young men and zeitgeist and all of that. But in retrospect, I also understand many of my contemporaries who were wondering, what were they thinking, right? Like, there's a lot of those questions. Like, what are they thinking when they did that? Or, like, on the presidential, why not we made it like Italy, right? Like they have, or yung in Germany, right? Like you have a symbolic president, right? For a while, even Turkey used to have that, right? And then the prime minister is really the power, right? So even if the rotating prime minister was the power, you still have that symbolic president to give some sort of some veto power, or so why not the mixed system like that? Presidential, parliamentary, like South Korea, like France, or Italy for that matter.
The one that was attractive to us was the French type.
French system, yeah.
Type, where you have a president with real powers,
A dominant
and yet you have also a parliament. So it's a hybrid.
Which was
the
Marcos,
Fifth
right?
Republic,
Marcos had that
the
with
Fifth
Virata,
Republic of
basically,
the French, yeah. But again, we opted for the pure type with few adoption of the party list. The party list, I think, has not been implemented correctly.
Please, can you tell us?
The marginalized sectors is only for the first 3 elections. After that, there's no more need for limiting this to marginalized sectors. All sectors, except religious, can participate in the party list. The idea of party list is just to have a voice in Congress. If you have 10% of the votes, you'll have 10% of the seats. You may not have control, but you have a voice. So that's the idea. And then it will develop the party system as the 10% grows to 15, 20.
Okay. So it was not supposed to be an eternally marginalized group representative mechanism?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The idea was after 3 elections, the marginalized sector is supposed to be strong enough to participate on equal footing.
Which I believe is again naive, right? In retrospect.
Because it's not first past the post,
yes.
as you know.
Proportional,
So if
yeah.
you have your 10%,
Right.
you're assured of 10% of the seats.
Yeah.
So it's just developing your membership. That's the
Interesting.
idea. On the other hand, the Supreme Court and Congress in implementing the party list, there's a party list law. Supreme Court interpreted, put a cap. That destroyed it. How can you grow when there's a cap?
To three.
Three.
No, yeah. Okay. So your
So
concern
that's
is
wrong.
there is a ceiling to party development
Ceiling.
because of the thing.
Yeah.
I see. So that's where you disagree. Okay.
Because,
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Like, how can you be a real party with only 3
if you're entitled
representatives?
to 5, give them 5.
Yeah.
Now, with the cap, they had a
Interesting.
problem because there were extra seats.
Correct.
So they had to allocate the extra seats by some formula. That's the Supreme Court
Yes,
formula
the
for
formula,
allocating.
exactly.
That's crazy.
So you're critical of that? Because
That's
I'm critical
wrong.
of that.
That's
yeah.
wrong. You
Interesting.
just give them
okay.
the percentage that they earn.
Now it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because, like, for instance, Akbayan has been trying to become a real party,
Yeah.
but they're stuck at 3 at most,
Yeah.
right? Even if they got 7-8% of the votes,
Yeah.
they should have had 7-8 seats,
Yes.
not 3 seats,
Yes.
right? So yeah, thank you. I mean, actually, this is I didn't know that. My understanding was this was really supposed to be for marginalized, and then the Supreme Court kind of gave an opening for the dynasties and contractors and all of these people to come in. Kaya nga, basically binabo yung sistema. To be honest about it,
Yeah.
sorry for the language, Justice. Thank you for the clarification. The other thing I want to ask, although as I said, I still stand by my idea na yung idea na 3 terms lang and then you hope. I felt it's a bit naive, but you're also right. If sinundan yung percentage-based representation, actually, ika-akbayan at 7 seats now, baka naman, diba? The other one thing I want to ask you is, maraming galit ngayon, bakit 40 years old dapat ang basihan? I'm not 40 yet, right? So, but I think I have more wisdom than people I've met who are way older than me, but I don't think they even understand or appreciate the basics but this is not about me. This is really about Vico Soto, right? So, ang daming tao nagsasabi, why not Vico Soto? Because he'll not be 40 by the next elections. And that suddenly brought into picture this idea, why that age limit of 40? France, speaking of France, Emmanuel Macron became the president at my age, 37, he became the president of France. I can go on and on with many major democracies where prime ministers were in their 20s and 30s. So why 40? Is this a kind of a biblical number, the age of prophets? I want to understand that, Justice. Who chose that 40 number? Why that cutoff? If the senator is 35, if I'm not mistaken, or 30, right? So if you can already become senator in your 30s, why not become also a president? I don't get it.
I guess we felt that certain maturity is required for the highest office, and 40 would be the minimum. Of.
Which I disagree with. I mean, to be honest, like I'm really I scratch my head over that. I agree that there should be like you don't put an 18-year-old kid as the president, right? But 30s, I think you should be mature enough. I mean, especially your era, people have already fought in wars, like yung grabbing level of experience ng tao, no? I mean, at our age, we can become CEOs in our 30s now, and multi-billionaires even some people, not me obviously. Also, the other idea I want to ask you, Justice, is why single 6-year term? Because I understand the single term because you don't want a Marcos situation. But 6 years is too long for a bad president. But it's actually too short for a good president. Like, Indonesia has 2.5. US and we used to have 2.4. France, I think, similar almost. My sense is, if meron kang re-election challenge, medyo ayusin mo yung trabaho mo. Kasi alam mo, hindi ka ma-elect eh. So it creates this shadow of accountability na parang wala. So, my sense is there was a kind of a retrospective bias. You were so eager to avoid, including the fishermen folk you met in Albay, you were so scared of having another Marcos Sr. that my sense is we prevented good presidents from having more time. If you were to agree with me, let's say for the sake of argument, Ramos was a good president or good enough, or even Pinoy, I felt 6 years was not good enough for them. I mean, imagine if Ramos had 8 years or 10 years and you had no more era. Imagine if you had Pinoy's 10 years, 8 years, no more Digong, right? Yeah. We would be in a completely different, I won't say heaven, but I think the path dependency and trajectory would have been different. Wouldn't it be? Again, I'm coming from a political scientist point of view. I know you're a jurist, but I just want to understand also your logic and what you think about it in retrospect, Justice.
First, we have to decide how often do we have elections.
Sure.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
And we decided that 2 years is too soon, too expensive. We used to have every 2 years election.
Parang US, di ba yung Congress?
Yeah, we follow the US.
Yeah.
So, we decided every 3 years.
Right.
Okay. Now, 6 is multiple of 3.
So yung Senate and okay. Interesting.
So that's president.
That's arithmetic.
If you make it 4 years, how do you put that into the 3?
Hindi mo siya maisingit.
Yeah.
Okay.
You base it on the frequency of your elections.
And then 12 years would be too long.
Yeah.
12 years would be basically.
So the terms are structured to fit the frequency of the elections.
So that was the arithmetic architecture. Okay, that's a good. I mean, that's an explanation I didn't hear. This is the first time I hear it. I didn't read it anywhere. Like you getting explanation. Okay, then my next question would be, well, obviously you don't want a single 6-year term, but in retrospect, the other thing I want to also ask about, and I had some European diplomats egging me on this, like, why do you have a single round first past the post presidential race? I think the standard is 50% plus 1 at least, diba? Kung hindi ka nanalo ng majority of votes, why not have a second round? The reason I ask is multiple.
The French type, the 2 rounds.
Yeah, through a runoff, right? Unless you
We
get
need
50%
majority.
plus one.
We rejected that simply on cost. On cost.
Well, that's my problem.
Yeah.
It just is like you cannot
Yeah.
make this. I mean, I'm an Ilocano. I'm cost conscious, but for me the biggest damage of that.
Yeah.
Because the counter argument will be, well, Ramos got 21%, he ended up good president.
Yeah.
Digong got 37-8%, he ended up having 90% approval. Okay, for the sake of argument, sige, sabihin natin fine. Nagkakaroon ng rallying effect. I would say balimbingan effect.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is you don't create a culture of coalition building. So I'll give you an example. So sa maraming bansa, you have polarized, right and left, right? And when you are very polarized, it's hard to get 50% plus one. So what happens is that in the second round, the side that is willing to moderate more and become more reasonable gets the center and then has the 50% plus one. I saw that in Chile, I saw that in Brazil recently, right? So we have these cases whereby the shadow of the runoff and the need for majority forces you to become less crazy. Kasi sa atin is parang, Duterte is a perfect example. He just had to be the craziest guy and it worked. And he just had to get more vote than anyone else. Not even, I mean, he's less than 40%, right?
Yeah.
So I just feel that was slightly problematic too. I understand your cost issue, but kung usapan pera, di wag na tayo mag-election. Let's elect whenever we have a budget surplus. You know, like, do you get where I'm saying? Where I'm coming from, Justice? We have our illegal luminary. Sir Ronald, I know you have to leave earlier. Could you join us, Sir Ronald?
Hi,
Sir
sorry,
Ronald,
how
we
are
are...
you?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Can we squeeze in a little bit more?
It's been a long time.
Thank you so much, Sir Ronald, for making time. So we had the legal luminary.
Yes.
I hope I'm not litigating to. So iniisa-isa ko, bakit 6 years? Bakit walang re-election? Bakit like lahat tinatanong, bakit ano pa bakit walang runoff election, right? So I'm going through all of that. Bakit 48 kayo? Bakit presidential? So sir, just for a recap, I went through all of that because I want to talk about charter change today.
Okay.
Because marami nagsasabi, baka naman that's the only way because the system is so broken,
Yeah.
right? So just to give you some time to have your
Yes,
coffee,
yes.
maybe you want to sip your coffee.
I'll do that.
Sir Ronald, have you asked also these questions? Kasi kami, I was thinking, if Pinoy only had re-election time, if Ramos had a re-election time, you would have avoided Digong and era, and maybe our history would have totally different.
I am for a constitution, as the justice knows, should be a living document. No, it's not dead. It's always have to be reviewed, improved, but you need the preconditions
Right.
for that. No, like in principle, I am for a federal system.
Ah, you're for federal?
Yeah, but if
Kaso
you,
magkalaban pala tayo.
federate without the necessary minimum reforms, then you are
Right.
just federating warlordism. You
Right.
will just be federating concentration of power
Correct.
in the hands of a few on the local level. You
Ah,
will
yes,
just-
but.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
but.
will just be federating poverty. So you need minimum political and economic reform so that federalism will be much real. Like parliamentary system for me is more superior than a presidential system. But in a parliamentary system, you need real political parties. Without real political parties, then it's just a form of parliamentarism, but in shape, it's still the old system. So it's about changes, minimum requisites before you change the
Correct.
constitution. Like education is very basic.
Which you
Even-
mentioned in your book very much, the Rizalian idea. You have to prepare the population.
Even
Yes.
even congressmen don't read the constitution. Perhaps even senators. So
Correct.
Perhaps the president.
so you have to popularize what you are changing and the proposals to change that. Usually the timing should be in the first half of a president's term. Usually in the last half it's tainted with suspicion that you just want term extension, that you just want to change the system for vested interest.
To
So-
protect yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you start it early, then you have time to present, to educate, to do the minimum reforms
Correct.
necessary for changes in the constitution. They always use the excuse of economic economic
It
changes.
doesn't work.
no?
Yeah,
But
it doesn't work. It's a
what
weak
is
argument.
real is the political changes.
Right. I'll go back to you, Justice, about this. No, So one of the other things I raised is yung dynasties.
Yeah.
Why wasn't there an automatic law on dynasties? And what Justice was saying kanina is we didn't want to impose restrictions on if this is the choice of the people, if type nila mga binay, type nila na nga, then so be it. And I felt in retrospect maybe it was a bit naive that they would not cannibalize the system, including the party list system. I didn't know pala, Sir Ronald, that thanks to Justice, that the party list idea was by your percentage you get seats. So if Akbayan got 7%, they should have had 7 seats.
Yeah.
But your folks at the Supreme Court put that cap of 3, so that killed the party building dynamic. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because
Hindi ko alam yun.
yeah, I think we're the only party list system, proportional representation
Right.
in the world,
Proportional
Right.
representation.
Yeah.
which has a
It's a cap.
which has a cap.
Yeah, na
Usually,
weird.
maximum cap. Usually in other countries, it's a
Oh,
minimum
yeah.
cap. The cap is minimum,
Yeah, minimum.
not maximum.
Not maximum.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I haven't
5%.
seen.
You have to get
So
5%.
that was a bad decision. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was
I
a bad
haven't seen a
decision.
party list system,
That's what I'm saying.
which it's a different cap.
Obviously biased kami ni Sir Ronald because for us, Akbayan comes closest to a real modern party. Let's call it social democratic. But kung cap ka lang at 3, what are your options, right? And ang hirap, diba? So they got 77.5%. They should have got 7, 8 seats in the Congress now,
Yeah.
not 3 only,
Yes.
diba? Justice, I want to go back to you. Kanina, you said one of the things, because you were part of also the previous constitution, right?
Yes.
One of the things that is unique with the 1997 constitution, I would say, is this level of protectionism by a lot of your fellow framers na huwag niyong galawin yan, sacred yan. Now, that may explain why this is the most unperturbed constitutional document, at least in our history, and one of the most unperturbed. Kasi walang amendments eh. Right? I mean, the US Constitution went through so many amendments
Yeah.
throughout the decades. Ours, even amendment, some of your colleagues get picked and triggered. Oh, no, this is a Trojan horse, is gonna... What is your thinking of this from your experience of being part of 2 different constitutions? Is amendment perhaps a way forward? Are you even open to the idea of constitutional change, a new charter change, con-as? Because I want to really, I think you're a perfect person because you've been part of 2 constitutional provocations. So I want to ask, should you have a 3rd or should you have at least an amendment? And where?
I think the amendment process has proved to be a difficult hurdle for Congress because they could not agree on the method of amending the Constitution. Actually, it's very easy. Just get the 3/4 of all the members of the House, 3/4 of the Senate. And the House wants 3/4 of the entire. So the Senate will be swallowed.
Yeah,
they're not gonna allow that,
Yes.
And that's crazy.
That's
They
crazy,
should
yeah.
vote separately. Of course, it should be separately, even bicameral system.
Right.
And so that's the reason, because the House wants to dominate the procedure.
By quantitative,
Yeah, that's,
sheer quantity.
Or if it is a constitutional convention, they don't have to vote separately.
Yeah.
You go direct. If it's a constitutional convention, what is being proposed by
Right, let's talk about that. The con-as and
Congressman
con-con.
Ronnie,
Let's go for that.
Ronnie Puno.
Yeah.
The problem is because of what happened during the first year of BBM, the People's Initiative, then all other initiatives are now tainted.
Tainted. Yeah.
That's a problem, no?
Baka naman that was an
And they
inside
even
job.
made the head of the People's Initiative, the head of the People's Initiative during Gloria Macapagal Arroyo's time. So the more it became tainted. So.
Yeah.
And now it's practically in the last 2 years of the term, and there's a lot of issues.
Right.
From flood control to so impeachment, etc. So it's not an ideal time. No? As I said, I am for that. I am for that.
Oh, so okay, so when is the ideal
Yeah.
time? Because my problem right now is we're having a very interesting situation. When Digong was pushing for charter change, immediately alarm bells were set off. That this is a Trojan horse. I mean, this is a guy who was flirting with RevGov right and left, right? So I completely agree with your fellow framers. Huwag mahawakan yan lalo pag kay Digong. Baka kung anong mangyari. But now, people are losing so much let's be honest, Sir Ronald, last year pa natin, we have been warning about constitutional crisis. And I think, to be honest, things are even worse than we thought. At this point, I don't want to say more, baka makontempt ako, but you get what like every branch of the state is not inspiring confidence nowadays. Tapos meron ka pang Torres situation na nadagdag pa sa drama. So suddenly, a lot of people who are very skeptical of charter change, including yours truly, I am on the record, pwede mo pa chat GPT yan, I'm saying like, baka naman it's the system is so broken, we need at the very least some serious amendments, if not a constitutional convention maybe. Because CONAS, medyo I'm not
the
comfortable
problem with
that.
opening the Pandora's box of charter change is that anything can happen.
But is it a Pandora's box? Why
It
not
is.
just put scotch tapes over the
It
box?
is because of the balance of forces. No? If the forces, the progressive forces are dominant, then well and good. But if the reactionary conservative forces are the dominant in the landscape, then they will dominate whatever charter change will happen. As Justice was saying, that their idea is that for Congress eventually to decide on the dynasty provision. The problem at the time, there was a weak transition from dictatorship to democracy. Imagine there were 11 coup d'etat in 2 years, 87 to 89. So a lot of the Marcos dynasties who just shifted sides were accepted by the Aquino administration because they were fighting for survival. So the weaknesses of the transition helped create the long-term problems of the opening up of the 87 Constitution.
But that raises a question that there's a possibility that this is very Rosa Luxemburg, right? Like the time will never come if you wait for the right time. Because as things stand, I just don't see a situation whereby the progressives will have an upper hand anytime soon.
Well, the midterm shows that that modern forces, especially coming from the youth, can suddenly emerge. No, subjective forces with the right strategy can emerge because you don't nauuna yung kalesa sa kabayo, di ba? Yung you need a movement which will push for these changes, whether it's charter change or within the present charter.
But can the charter change trigger the movement? A sense of urgency? Because, again, Justice, I and Ronald, since 2022, although we were not friends yet in 2022, until he came to me and invited himself to my show, next thing you know, he's taking over.
We're more like enemies.
So, thanks to you, we're very respectable now. And my mom watching us over the horizon. No, the thing is, our concern is everything was there. The pink movement, the excitement, etc. It's almost 2026. Sir Ronald, who's the leader of the opposition? You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe now I'm the pessimist, right? So then I'm beginning to be very worried. And my worry is, baka the right time will never come unless you create a sense of crisis. You trigger a sense of urgency, right? And maybe kicking off a constitutional change process by the trapos will activate the good guys. So it's a chicken or egg rather than the horse before the cart issue for me.
Well, that's a good gamble, but I doubt it will happen. No,
But yours is a gamble too. Your gamble is let's win first. Yours is sequential, right? Let's win first. Let's get the right people in, and then they go for it. But what if that doesn't happen? Which is not very likely, maybe. You know, like.
Yeah, if that doesn't happen, then
So you will be for charter change if Sara is the next president.
Because for now, those who will push for charter change are the corrupt people of the present system, even the most corrupt. No?
But they're not going away, right?
Yeah.
Like they'll still win in 2028.
So you don't even have reformists in that group. No? So if you change the system, those who will decide about the changes will be a small minority, will be the vast majority who are involved in the ills of the system you are trying to change. You want to change the system so that the ills will be mitigated. But the ones who will change the system now, if you do it now, will be the same guilty persons responsible for those ills.
So, Justice, before I go to you, because I want to take. So, the difference between I and Ronald is that we're both pessimists, but in different ways. His pessimism is that if you leave it to people now, it's going to go bad. My pessimism is if you wait for the next administration, it's going to get even worse. So, like, you want to cut a semi-compromise deal now rather than wait for things.
For me, the trigger is that the Dutertes may win in 2028.
But isn't it too late by then? But it's too late. In my sense, it's too late.
Just last week, the Pinks met twice to fix their dynamics.
Lenny, Risa.
This week, there are lines being drawn, no,
Sure.
for a united front. So, the compelling reason for
Interesting.
2028 is now happening, but it's
Interesting.
happening underground, under wraps. So nobody is talking about
Of
it
course, of
publicly.
course.
No?
Yeah, I mean, who am I, right?
So,
I don't know
so
things.
for now, the trigger is 2028. That if we don't build a broad anti-Duterte front, then the Dutertes will come and there will be hell to pay.
I don't think there'll be a democracy. I think they'll not give up. So I want to go back to you. So it's interesting. Now Ronald is more optimistic than me because I'm big. Tore kasi. After the Tore thing, I gave up on the system.
It's with the Tore issue, things are
Getting wild.
Are not what they appear to be.
Well, I know there are layers, Sir Ronald, but my point is, but it makes things worse.
Yeah, of course.
It makes things worse. I'm talking about the effect.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the effect.
The optics was terrible.
Exactly.
No?
Everything's bad.
Yeah.
So, Justice, sorry about that, yung banter namin. But you see where I'm coming from. Like he's the political operator, right? And I'm the pretentious scholar, right? But you're the jurist. From your perspective, Justice, what is the right condition to even contemplate amendment, considering how dominated our system has been for the past 100 years by political dynasties, right? I mean, to be honest. It's just, I mean, during even your principal's time, Aquino, 80% of Congress were trapos.
Yes, but not dynasties. Unlike now.
Well, it was not idea.
Yeah,
It was not. So, Justice, I want to get your point of view.
There's an alternative. We
Go
can
ahead.
throw it to the people.
Mm.
Congress can ask the people, should we call a constitutional convention? Just a majority vote needed. Let the people decide. Don't call right away.
So, any plebiscite? Like
yeah,
plebiscite?
something like a plebiscite.
Can the Congress do it without the Senate? I'm sorry, it has to be both, right?
Yeah,
Like, how is
majority
what's the
vote.
mechanism?
It's a proposal. It's a bill.
It's a bill.
Similar to a
It's just a bill.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a bill like, okay, let's ask the people. Hindi hintayin sila Ranjit or Pulse Asia to give us surveys, right?
Just
Interesting. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Why not let's leave it to the
But
people?
of course, in the real world, people will be either for it
Yeah.
or against it.
Or will be incentivized in a certain direction. Yeah.
Not everybody will be for it. Not everybody will be against it.
My sense is like 40-30-30 split.
yeah.
What is
It's not a bill. It
It's not
doesn't have to be signed by the president.
okay.
It's a constituent power.
Cons-
Congress
So
may.
it's an executive
See, I
power.
told you. That's why I love being with the justice.
Congress may, by a vote of majority vote of all its members, submit to the electorate the question of calling such a convention.
Oh.
That's in the amendment.
So what form will it take, Justice?
Yun nga eh.
In the Congress? What form? Is it a resolution?
Is it a
Resolution.
bill?
Yeah,
it's a
Resolution lang.
Yeah.
That will be put
Interesting.
on the ballot by COMELEC.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a
I have an opening. I will agitate people. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
Okay. But Sir Ronald is very suspicious. Because what if you have a 40-30-30 split? So kanila, like kagabi lang, obviously this is not a scientific survey, but most of my followers are progressive and pinks. I said, are you for it, against it, or unsure? Meaning, so it's like 40-30-30. 44, 30 against, 30 undecided, unsure. What if you get a 40-30-30?
Plurality.
Plurality wins. Hindi ka lang majority.
Plurality.
Oh wow. Worse than Brexit. It's like just who gets the biggest share
Yeah.
carries the day.
If it wins, what will happen afterwards, Justice?
Yeah, what is the next
They
step?
have to call.
Yeah?
They have to call.
Interesting. Very interesting. Wow, so there's also that angle. Again, I didn't know that, Sir Ron.
So it's like a people's initiative?
Yes,
Yeah.
in
Like
a way,
people's
yeah.
initiative in a way.
Also, we're back to
Yeah.
Referendum.
Yeah. Because it's going to be a referendum or a plebiscite.
Yeah. And then what's that? After that, we'll decide if it's a con or con-as to draft the constitution. Paano yan? Justice.
It's a resolution.
No, like, okay, now let's say majority said or plurality said go. What's the next step? You form a
We have to
convention.
pass a law.
Then you have to debate over
A
that.
law convening a convention. Yeah.
And you're for convention rather than assembly.
Yes.
Con-as, yeah.
Yes.
Because that was like problematic.
Yes.
So, for the purpose of education of our audience, anong pagkakaiba yung dalawa? Aside from the fact na yung isa, monopoly pa rin ng mga trapo, so you don't expect them to vote. So, how does the convention work? Are you elected to that? Like you guys back in 1971?
Elected.
So kami ni Ronald, pwede tumakbo?
Yeah, you're elected per district. So, ang mangyayari dyan, parang dahil walang pork barrel yan, at maikli lang yung term yan, hindi yan 3 years.
Only good people will run.
So, karamihan ng mga tatakbo dyan, hopefully,
Good
ay hindi
people.
yung mga dynasties, hindi yung mga trapo.
Kasi walang pera.
Dahil nga, ang pag-uusapan dyan, debate talaga yan eh.
Yeah.
Halimbawa, nung Constitutional Convention noong 1971, dyan nag-shine sila Nelly Pimentel,
Correct,
sila
correct.
Raul Rocco, etc. Because other modern elements can enter the field.
Yeah.
No? Dahil yung mga traditional politicians at saka dynasties, una, hindi nila linya yan. Ikalawa, walang pera dyan. No? Ikatlo ay may clearing yung term. So, hopefully, other elements from civil society, from reform-oriented groups can enter the field. Hopefully.
Right. Sir, you have to go soon, right?
That is okay. Yeah.
You're okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to manage that because what happened is Justice came so early. I thought he's gonna come 3:30.
Came late.
I was having and then you came late, so it kind of. But I love it. By the way, guys,
yeah.
I'm witnessing history here.
Yeah.
Maybe I agree a bit here more than there, but maybe
Always.
there's maybe you never know. You never know. But Justice, sorry, makulit talaga kami. I think that's what people like. But Sir Ronald is more respectable than usual. Okay, but. Speaking of the situation right now, this explosion of corruption. So I was talking to Justice Carpio the other day. We were comparing this to PDAF. This is like PDAF on steroids. 10 times, 100 times, 1,000.
It's much worse.
Right, on steroids. Diba? It's like Napoles times 100, right? So mukhang lumalala over time.
We met the president last night sa wake ng Mother de Rojas. No? So
right.
a lot of people were there, mixed political tendencies. So people were asking the president, where will you bring this?
Yeah.
No? Are you willing to
Go all the way.
charge and
Yeah.
put in prison even allies? He said categorically yes. So because if nothing happens in the next 1 to 2 months, then it might explode in his
On
face.
him, yeah.
Yeah. But last night he said he was determined to really bring.
And that's
this-
off the record, right? You're just talking you're just talking that normal.
Bring it to its logical conclusion. So whether it will happen is another thing. But I think.
But he has to. He has no choice,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He has to go all the way.
Yeah.
Ikaw, Justice, as you were in the Supreme Court. Well, I mean, Arroyo term, we were related, and then like many things have been going on, like a lot of crazy corruption stuff.
Yes.
And my fear is this moral lamentations, this anger, outrage might undermine faith in the constitutional order altogether. I mean, Duterte's rise to power was partly out of anti-system sentiment, right? So we can see how democratically we can elect anti-democratic people. And my fear is, kasi ngayon, Sir Ronald, nung PDAF time nyo, kami mga matatandang millennials. Ngayon, I see the Gen Z is very angry.
Yeah.
This Gen Z is very angry. Like, now all the pictures of this, yung mga anak ng mga contractors with all this million pesos. And then these people are, and the ordinary kids cannot even afford the rent every month. It's so outrageous. It's so outrageous. So, Justice, like, how do you feel about this corruption really getting out of control? May kinalaman ba ito sa kakulangan sa Constitution? Or what can we do constitutionally to deal with that?
Well, I think the people really are the ones we have to look to
Right.
to solve this. That's why I am proposing a people's writ called quitam, where right now you cannot sue public officials. Citizens cannot sue a public official. Only the fiscals and prosecutors, and if they don't sue, then they cannot be sued. But in quitam, the citizen can sue a public official.
Interesting.
Just give the prosecutor's 60-day notice through a sealed. You have a sealed letter containing the evidence.
Interesting.
And if they don't act on it, 60 days, the private citizen can file the case. That's called quitam, citizen suit. And with the movement now, you can see
Yeah.
that citizens are outraged.
Right.
Give them the power to
Pwede ma-class suit versus one single contractor or something like that? Pwede ba yan?
then single against,
Single lang pwede. Oh,
against
okay,
an
okay.
individual.
Yeah.
So hindi pwede like parang all the victims in one barangay of one horrible contractor, congressman, ganun. It could be just one person. So like I and Ronald can file a case
Yung
against...
complainant can be a whole barangay. Yeah.
Pwede, di ba? Yeah, pwede
Pwede.
magsama kasi
anyone.
binaboy
Yeah.
yung flood control.
Could
Or
be
a
group,
movement.
Could be a group, individual, organization. it could
Interesting.
be-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one way. What about this idea of independent people's commission that Tito Soto is talking about? Do you think that makes sense? Or should it have real mandate? Can it even have a real
I mean,
mandate?
from civil society,
Yeah.
former government officials.
Pwede rin.
Yeah.
Like the Agrava Commission. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
I think
Sir, yeah.
going back from the lessons of the past, because for decades, since the Ramos time up to the Arroyo time, pork barrel dominated the landscape, especially in Congress and in the Senate. During the time of Pinoy, it reached a climax with the arrest of a former Senate President,
Yeah.
Enrile, and 2 senators.
Right.
But it was done like a bibingka.
Hmm.
There was heat on the top and there was heat below.
Pressure from
you
the-
have 1 million people march
Yeah.
in Luneta at the time.
I was there, yeah.
And then you have the Department of Justice filing cases against a Senate President and 2 senators. That has never happened before. So it came from above, and eventually the pork barrel was abolished. So you have a concrete output from this bibingka. I think now you have elements of that. You have the president himself leading the crusade. Na mahiya naman kayo, but the movement is still to be born. You have outrage, you have disenchantment, but as a movement like 1 million people's march, it's not yet there. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, the subjective force.
Exactly.
But it can be done easily because the outrage is rampant. No? But
it could go wild and it could be weaponized.
Yeah.
The Dutertes are weaponizing.
A revolutionary government can
Yeah.
weaponize that to bring down the system.
Yeah, coup d'etat,
and create-
something like
create
that,
a
yeah.
RevGov. Or the Dutertes can use that going into 2028.
Exactly.
And the government is not very good in weaponizing these issues against their enemies.
Because there were thousands of flood control under Digong, 12,000 flood control
Yes,
projects.
12,000 and almost 800 billion pesos worth. But
Yeah.
it's not being discussed. Pulong himself has 51 billion in his one
Yeah,
district.
yeah.
So the problem is the government is defensive because their communications, their narrative is not very strong. Imagine a government changing their communication head
Five
five times. No.
May not be the last. May not be the
Five
last.
times,
Ron.
no? And it may happen soon again. So that only shows the problem of the government in terms of communication. Like the Torre issue. This is a mismanagement of the highest order. No? You created the most popular leader in government, and then almost overnight you took him out without any spin regarding that. So that's what I'm saying, that it has to be like from the top and from the bottom. I think from the top there's some, and from the bottom there's some, but it has to be consummated to approximate what happened during the pork barrel in Aquino's time, where the pork barrel was totally banned and people were really arrested. No? Even a former Senate President at that.
What are the lessons you learned from that time? Kasi eventually, well, Napoles is kind of in and out.
It was
Jingo is now there in the Senate. Nakakadiri daw ang corruption. Sabi
Yeah,
niya.
but he was only released during the Duterte time. A bail. How can you put a bail on plunder? It's supposed to be non-bailable. But he was out on bail during the Duterte time. So what I'm saying is that it can be done. Napoles was arrested, but perhaps the debate is whether it should have proceeded to its maximum conclusion. Because if you did that, I think more senators would have been charged and put in prison. And then you may have a constitutional crisis. if majority of senators were imprisoned because of the pork barrel.
Which is what happened in Brazil, diba? The Operation Car Wash.
Yeah.
What happened was that everyone was implicated, and then even the investigators later on were implicated in making up false charges against Lula, right? And eventually Lula came back. Like Brazil is a very dangerous
that was
case.
the problem during that time,
That's the
because
problem.
pork barrel was so rampant. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people will be implicated, and then you will have a political crisis.
Correct. So, just as this is the last part of our discussion, hopefully, before we transition to other issues, Ombudsman is coming up. There have been interviews already going on. Some people are saying maybe you want someone like Remulla, who's already trusted by the president, will have the support, assuming he'll end up in the last three, yung shortlist. Some are saying Kim Henares, your colleague back in the day in BIR naman. So ano, there are other names that are
Mike Aguinaldo.
Exactly. So Heidi Mendoza, I had her on my show recommending someone else that she knows well. So I know maybe you don't want to name names, but how important is to get the right ombudsman, considering it looks like we didn't have the right ombudsman for a long time. Very long time. And anong pwede niyang gawin on this issue of corruption, itong grabing flood control and all of that? Yeah.
Well, it's very important because the ombudsman is the official who can prosecute
Corrupt.
these grafters.
Yeah.
And that is very much in the people's mind now. So, yes, it's a crucial appointment. And we'll see.
How long is usually the process of the JBC to choose, to finish this process? How
Yung
long?
final three to come up with the shortlist.
Yeah. The interview, and
Yeah,
then
yes.
they have rules.
Yes.
And then they submit at least 3 names
Yeah,
for
yeah.
every vacancy.
Almost half have finished being interviewed.
Yeah, they're still interviewing.
Yeah.
Is it normal ganun katagal yung interregnum from kasi late July pa umalis si ano, 'di ba, Martires? Magtatapos ng September.
Will it take 2-3 months?
Yeah,
4
yun nga.
months?
Like, is that normal, this kind of interregnum? 2 to 3 months na walang
Yeah,
ombudsman?
that's normal.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
That's normal. Due
One
diligence.
important
Sometimes.
issue, Justice, is the issue of Boyne Remulla. There's a case filed against him in
Yes,
the Ombudsman.
By
That's the
IME?
problem.
By
Yeah.
IME people, yeah.
because under their own rules,
Mm.
if you have a case pending, you cannot be nominated.
Yes.
And the case is still there because the acting ombudsman did not want to dismiss it,
Yes.
Mariflor.
Yes, but you have a new acting ombudsman.
But it was changed.
Yeah.
So maybe this new acting will dismiss.
Maybe that's the reason you have a new
Maybe
acting.
that's why they changed.
Yeah, that's very important. No? That's
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah.
Aside from the ombudsman, ano bang mga kailangan mangyari sa mga susunod na mga buwan? Kasi hindi naman pwede umasa lang tayo sa presidente, di ba? I mean, what should be done to deal with just the sheer scale of corruption we're talking about right now? Not
Okay.
just the top 15 contractors, everyone involved.
We should reverse our presumption laws. I was talking to a judge from the United Kingdom, and he said in the United Kingdom, once we prove that your assets are far more than your lawful income,
Right.
the excess is immediately sequestered. We don't have to prove that this is unlawfully acquired.
Yeah.
As long as it is within the excessive portion, any of your properties can be sequestered.
And go direct to the government.
Yeah. So that is not a
Oh, wow.
presumption. That is evidence.
The discrepancy.
The burden of proof has been shouldered by showing the disparity between assets and lawful income. After that, then the burden of the evidence shifts.
Yeah.
You can shift the burden of the evidence on the defendant to prove that this particular property was lawfully acquired.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will be sequestered.
Interesting.
You don't have to prove it was unlawfully acquired.
So, ano yun, lifestyle check, AMLAC coming in, checking the bank accounts.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
should this,
The
like,
ombudsman can open bank accounts.
Can the president?
in the service of the SALN law. No, if they're investigating SALN, then they can request AMLA to open the bank account. That's within the purview
Freeze.
of the ombudsman.
AMLA is just freeze. This one's sequester.
Sequester talaga.
But do you need a law for that?
Yeah, you need a law. We have to amend our
We
anti-graft
have
law.
to amend the law.
Yeah, I have to amend the law.
Anong pangalan ng law nila
Sanction
sa
yan.
UK, Justice? May pangalan ba yung batas nila yan? Is it called, I don't know, anong pangalan ng contractor? British accent siya, di ba?
So,
Si-
Justice,
si-
somebody
si-
has to
si-
propose a law.
I propose the,
Except
ano,
for that, yeah.
anong pangalan nila?
I think it's
Sa,
under the
ano?
serious crimes law.
Diskaya. I call it the Diskaya law. Let's make it the Diskaya law. Because they have British accent. Did you watch Sarah Diskaya? She has a British accent.
Yeah.
She converse, I converse in a British accent. I call it the Diskaya law. Can we propose a Diskaya? Sequestered 40 cars, including the Rolls Royce with an umbrella and an Hermes leather.
The problem is the ones who will propose it and vote on it,
Yun lang.
those who will be targeted for this
That's our problem.
sequestration.
That's why when the president said lifestyle check, everyone said maybe the first family first, right? Something like that, right? So that's our problem. Eh? Like, where do you start? Diba? It's so pervasive. Where do you start, and how do you make sure it doesn't get out of control? So, just as on the last point on this, no?
Just one point. On
yeah, please, sir.
On the lifestyle check, you don't need a law, no, a new law, because it's within the present the
Framework,
present system.
yeah.
It's you have an anti-graft and corrupt practices law that will fall under that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unlike the other proposal of justice, you need a law.
Yeah, the Diskaya law.
Yeah, you need somebody to propose it and then vote on it, and then both houses voting on it and the president signing it.
Yeah.
So you have to go through that process. But in terms of lifestyle check, it can be implemented and it can be triangulated by different government agencies. LRA for the houses and the land, LTO for the cars, vehicles, etc. Bureau of Immigration for the travels, AMLA for the banks, at least to open the bank account, etc. So that you don't need a law to do that. No. And then you can file cases based on the results.
Yeah. So there's enough out there to make things count. So just on final note, and this is important. Some were saying, I'm not saying Ronald Llamas na maybe the Supreme Court will come with a decision on the MR soon, whatever. Again, with all due respect, with the Supreme Court and all, what are your expectations? What are your hopes? And what are your worries? And dapat what should be the way forward for the Philippine Supreme Court, considering it's an exceptional institution, right? Above the fray institution, non-majoritarian institution. Can we go back to that theme? Because that's what makes the Supreme Court very special, right? In a constitutional order.
Well, first, I think it should reconsider its decision, the impeachment case. At least, probably, if they don't want to change their vote, just say it's pro hoc vice, in view of the very exceptional factual situation involved. They can say that our decision here applies only to this exceptional case. For the future,
Right.
the court is free to adopt a different approach. And then to address this current situation of graft and corruption on steroids, to call a national summit to adopt remedies against all forms of corruption, in the same way that the Supreme Court called a national summit to address extralegal killings in 2007, inviting all sectors in order to discuss appropriate remedies, including a possible quitam remedy.
Right, where
putting
people
the-
can directly
yeah,
also file cases
that
against
should be
corrupt
adopted
officials.
pursuant to a national summit.
Yeah.
So I think the Supreme Court will be able to redeem itself if it calls the summit to show that it's really against corruption.
And why is it important for the
accountability.
Supreme Court to really come really right on this one, given its non-majoritarian, non-elected nature compared to
Yeah.
ibang branches? Yeah.
precisely because it's non-majoritarian and it is the guardian of fundamental liberties of our people. So I think in that capacity, and also because as far as we know, they are not involved in this corruption thing.
Right.
So they are the best to be the prime movers of the search for the proper remedies to this great disaster that has befallen us.
So they will look like a disinterested party.
Yes,
Above the fray. Above the fray.
they are.
Thank you so much, Justice, for that. There was
Thank
just
you,
slight
Professor.
scramble. We're hoping to have you a bit later on, but at the moment you were there, I said we were not going to wait. So my apologies to our great, my former professor, Ranjit Rai, the other political scientist in the room. Thank you so much for that. Thank you also, Sir Ronald, for joining us. Let's have a group picture. On that note, thank you very much, guys, for joining us for this latest episode ng FYI. Kasama po natin si, of course, one of the framers of the Constitution. Kaya kanina talaga I went back to the basics. And of course, our resident illegal luminary. And of course, andyan sa likod yung aking ex-professor na hoping still proud of me, the most amazing student in the world. Maraming salamat and talk to you soon. God bless. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Thank you. Wait lang naka-live pa to, baka may sasabihin tayo. Thank you very much.
Salamat po.
Pasensya Sir Ranji, dumating si Justice. I had to parang nakakaya pahintayin natin siya ng 2 hours, di ba?
Naman eh.